Hello everyone, Mario the Smash Bro here and welcome back to Cuphead. Today we're going to be taking on every single one of the run and gun levels in Cuphead, but we're going to be doing a pacifist run this time. Now the pacifist run means that we have to complete each and every level while not firing a single shot. For every single one of these levels I have this smoke bomb along with the invincibility equipped, so we'll be using the invincibility for a few levels, and the smoke bomb is very important when going through the levels because it will allow you to evade many obstacles without you having to bother actually trying. You just spam the dash and here we go. So the first level is on Inkwell Isle 1 and it's called Forest Follies. This level is all about using the smoke bomb dash and utilizing that correctly. It doesn't really require a whole lot of precision. You need to make lots of progress in the level, but not too much progress because if you do rush the level, you will end up bumping into a fair few of the enemies. There'll be very few instances in this level where I do wait for enemies to spawn, but the only time where I do wait for them to spawn is if I know that it's going to be in my way, so I'll wait for it to get out of my way and then I'll keep on moving. For this section of the level, we're going to want to wait around for a little bit so that we can get rid of some of these flowers because we don't want them to disrupt us. Wait on the right hand side of the stage for the mushrooms to shoot their little pink smog thing, and when it shoots it on that angle, wait over by the acorn maker until it comes close enough for you to jump and parry, and then jump over it with your dash. Time your smoke bomb dashes correctly for these enemies. Make sure not to get chomped by these enemies. It doesn't matter if you do take damage at this point of the level as long as you don't die. Dash to there, and that's the end of the level. As long as you make it through without firing a shot, a P rank is guaranteed. On to the next level, Inkwell Isle 1, Treetop Trouble.
Now go.
The smoke bomb is very useful for this stage because it will allow you to avoid the rolling beetles along with the woodpeckers here. It's very easy to get past them, especially the rolling ones. For all the bouncing ones you can walk straight through, and for the ones that are rolling you can just dash and you'll get straight past them. For this next bit of the level, make sure to take your time a little bit. You're not rushed for time, so you can afford to wait around for a little bit so that you don't take too much damage. So for the end of the level, you're going to need to have at least 2 health or parry enough so that you have invincibility, as it's very important to be able to take a hit at the end of the level. As you can see, I am jumping around a little bit just so I can make sure that there are no enemies in my way when I get to the top. Just keep on moving through here. It doesn't really require you to take your time or anything here, but if you do need to take your time to make it through those platforms, then that's fine. Once you get to these platforms here, wait for the mini-boss to spawn, jump at him, fall behind him, and then the end of the level will just be there. We're now moving on to Inkwell Isle 2. Now we're going to be going to Funfair Fever. Once you get up to the bit with the trampoline dog looking carpet thing, find one of the pink balloons and parry it 5 times. It'll be very important to have our invincibility for later on in the level. It's very easy to avoid the balloons when you're not shooting because shooting the balloons will cause them to explode, and if they're not exploding they're very easy to evade. Use your smoke bomb dashes to get through here and avoid the clowns rolling on the balls. So for this section we're going to need to be pretty cautious. Always be mindful of what balls are going to be taking out which platforms, and which platforms have already been taken out to make sure that you don't fall. Here we are. At this point you need to go onto the middle platform, jump between the cannons, and then dash through there. If you don't do that, you will probably end up getting hit by a cannon. Repeat the same thing you did earlier, and make sure to use your invincibility as soon as you get up to the boss. You can walk straight through the boss, and then while using your invincibility, utilize that for as long as possible, making as much progress while you're invincible. Make sure to time your smoke bomb dashes correctly, and you'll be able to make it past these pretzels very quickly. Come around to the end of the level. The mini-boss there cannot be dashed through, but as long as you have health, you can go straight through them and get to the end of the level. Next up on Inkwell Isle 2 we have Funhouse Frazzle. For this attempt I was being very careless when it came to this first bit of the level, but that's okay because I still did manage to complete it. I parried the duckling there and I ended up changing gravity and going straight into the little train of cars there, which is not necessary. You can survive that and not take any damage, but I did anyway. So for this section of the level you're going to want to wait for the cars to appear on the same side that you're on, jump over it and dash through the gate and go through the mouth when it's open. We'll immediately kill it. For this you just need to be cautious with making sure to avoid the cannons that are being shot, or the cannonballs that are being shot by the starfish, and avoiding little rocket things which will immediately dash at you as soon as you're in line with them. It's fairly easy to predict where they're going to go, and as long as you don't rush it too much you're not going to get hit by many obstacles. This bit is relatively easy as long as you can time your dashes correctly. Dash over that. Repeat the same thing a couple times. Time that very carefully, otherwise you'll get stuck underneath the platform. I did end up taking damage there, but I can afford to because I'll be able to have enough health at the end of the level. When we come around to the end of the level, it's very similar to the gate that we saw at the start of the level. This time it will poke out its tongue, wait for the tongue to retract, and dash straight into the gate where the mouth is open. We're now moving on to Inkwell Isle 3. We're now taking on the level Parentless Piers, probably the most difficult pacifist level to complete in the entire game. Make sure to time your dashes correctly so you can follow the pathway that I'm taking. At any point you do happen to see a pink fish or a pink object in the level, make sure to parry it because they'll be very useful for later on. If it's inconvenient to parry, then don't bother because you'll probably end up risking taking damage. It's much safer to ride on the crabs here rather than try to use your dasher to get past them. As you can see, I did see a fish there, but I went, nope, not going to bother with that one, so I kept on moving. I saw a pink starfish here, and since the lobster had not spawned in already, I decided I was going to parry that. As soon as the lobster appears, follow this. Use your dash as many times as possible, and you can speed run through this level, or this section of the level, without taking any damage from the lobster and without risking it. Use your dashes to get up across these boards. Jump, parry, dash. Otherwise you'll fall into the water. Parry that little gem, and you'll shoot the rock there. You need to be very careful on this part of the level. I went for the parry twice on the shrimp, and I ended up taking damage, so I had to be very careful. As soon as I got my parry, I waited till the very end of the level before I used my invincibility. But moving back and forth, just predicting the movement of the shrimps is pretty much the best way to ensure that you won't get hit by them. If you jump too much, you'll probably end up getting hit. As soon as the boardwalk was in sight, I used my invincibility to ensure that I wasn't going to get hit by any obstacles on the way to the boardwalk, so that's the end of that level. Our sixth and final level is on Inkwell Isle 3, and it's called Rugged Ridge. The smoke dash is very useful for this level because it allows you to move straight through the little miner dogs there. Follow the pathway down the bottom, keep on using your dash to get through there. You can use the dash to get through that line there, but I chose not to because I'm very bad at timing that, so I didn't bother. Wait for him to throw his pickaxe, and then when you have the opportunity to do so, jump onto the same ledge his right foot's on, jump over him and dash across. So this section of the level is all about obstacle evasion. There'll be various sand creatures that will be summoned at the same time as a dragon that shoots fireballs at you. It will start off orange, and then the second one will be pink and so forth, and it will go between the two, so you'll be able to tell which one's going to be parryable. Parry as much, so at the end of the level you'll be able to have invincibility because it will be very useful. Try not to rack up any damage at this point. With 4 cards, I keep on moving into the level. So at this point in the level I did get a bit overwhelmed by the number of obstacles that were here, which is why I end up running around back and forth hoping that I can actually make it through. I end up parrying the teardrop thing that he spits out there, and I try to use the parry on his face to get over the wall, but unfortunately I do end up taking damage on the way over. I keep on making my way forward, and then I use my invincibility to get through this line here. So while invincible, I wait for the face to move high enough so I can parry it and jump over the wall, and then move it on to the very last phase of the level, the Cyclops phase. For this phase, you're able to take your time as long as you don't fall far back behind that you end up taking damage from hitting the Cyclops. Try not to rush yourself though, because if you do rush yourself, you're going to get hit by the fire pretty much every single time. There are a few times in this part of the level where I do get fairly close to the Cyclops, but as long as I don't hit him, I'm fine. It's very useful to keep on using the dash at this point because it means that you are in much more control over the character, and you also don't have to worry about where your character is going to land if you don't use the dash. And hey, would you look at that, we're at the end of the level. So we have now completed every single one of the levels in the game Pacifist. Ah, you found the path of pacifism. I'm quite impressed. You shall now be able to see the world in a new light. Go in peace. Bravo! You just earned a few bonuses. Look at your option menu for new visual and audio modes. So let's take a look at those now. If we go into our menu, you'll see that if I go into my options in the visual section of it, I'll be able to change the filter from none to black and white, so I can play the game in black and white mode. And if I go back into my audio settings, I can change the audio into vintage mode, so you'll hear it being played in a bit of an old sort of effect. Alright, that's enough of that. So, now that we've completed every single level in Cuphead Run and Gun without firing a single shot and got P ranks every single one, we have many bosses to beat. But that'll be for next time. So next time on Cuphead we're going to be taking on all of the bosses in Inkwell Isle 1 and aiming for S rank. It's going to be interesting. Right, anyway, let's end the episode off here. So thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Cuphead, and until next time, I'll see you guys later.